So the very important chapter for gate examination from transportation engineering, nothing but the highway geometric design. Mainly speaking, four important concepts are there. So I can divide the chapter into four. First thing is some cross-sectional elements, then sight distance, then horizontal curves, then vertical curves. But under horizontal curve there are a lot of concepts such as super elevation, setback distance, transition curve. Under vertical curve we are having two important topics, summit curve and valley curve. And sight distance we are having, under sight distance we are having stopping sight distance and overtaking sight distance. But before going into that, we are having a cross-sectional elements. If you are taking a road and if you are taking a cross-section of that road, what are the parameters you can see? That's it. It's not like what are the layers. Simply, IRC is simply giving a name cross-sectional elements. Simply what are the elements of a road? That's it. That we have to find out. Before going into that, let me see. Highway geometric design. We are having pavement design also, another chapter. Then what is the difference between the pavement design and the geometric design? And what do you mean by this geometric design? What is the word meaning? Or what do you exactly mean by geometric design? We are having another chapter, pavement design also there. Highway pavement design. This is highway geometry design. Can you tell me what it may be? What you think geometry design means? What it may be? Just tell me. What do you think from geometry design? What do you feel from that? Nothing? What do you mean by geometry of anything? Sight distance, shape of road. Leave about sight distance and all. We will go to that. Simply what do you mean by geometry? Yeah. Shape of the road. Okay, that is good. Here we design the geometry properties of the road. Very good. Thing is, whatever we are able to see, like the dimensions, simply like that. The dimensions of the road. Dimensions in the sense it can be width of the road, shape of the road. Okay, that is also good. Correct only. Some slopes we are going to give on the road. The slopes can be some continuous cross slope or some, we call it as something camber. Okay, so something like that. On sight distance is also coming under this geometry design. Okay, as Ankit said. Form of curvature, surfaces of volumes. Okay, that is also good. Volumes and all we'll see in traffic engineering. Simply in pavement design, what we are going to study, how much regarding the thickness of the pavement, whatever is below the ground, how much load is acting on the road, and based on this load, how much thickness should be there for the pavement. We are having lot of layers now, subgrade, subbase, base, then surface. If it is rigid pavement, some cement, concrete, slab, such thickness and some stress parameters. Those things we are studying. Structural parameters we are studying in pavement design chapter. Here it is geometric design as we ask. Yes, as you are commenting, very good. Designing the geometric parameters. That's it. Simply. Very good. Okay. So under that only we are going to study the super elevation concept. What should be the stopping sight distance? What should be the radius of a curve? What should be the length of a curve? Such things. Okay. Something above the ground what we see. So before going into those lot of numerical concepts, we should have some fundamental concepts before going into those super elevation, vertical curve, those things. That I am calling it as cross-sectional elements. If you are taking a road, what are the elements? What are the elements we are seeing on the road? The width of the road is there, correct na? And some slope is there on the road. Such things we have to see. Many times, I'm repeating many times, they asked a lot of 1 mark questions from this portion. Cross-sectional elements. That too from 1 or 2 topics. We are having something like that, width of the pavement, and also we are having camber. So those two are the very important points, and friction. So friction, camber and width of the pavement. These three elements are very, very important. And this width of the pavement is required in some other numerical questions also. Shoulders, yes, very good. Shoulder is also a cross-sectional element. We'll see one by one. So, okay. So, some 1 mark only they may ask you. But 2 mark question is possible for width of the pavement, camber and friction. Means friction they will not ask you for 2 marks. These things will require in some other calculation also. That's why. Okay. So, one by one we'll see what are the cross-sectional elements. Okay. So, list out. The first one is nothing but the friction. First one, friction. Friction is very important on the road. Why? Whenever you are going to apply the brakes of your vehicle will be stopping finally. How it will be stopping? Only because of the frictional force that you are getting between the road surface and your tire. Correct na? If that friction is not there, definitely you are going to take long time or long distance to finally stop your vehicle. So friction is very important. If friction is not happening properly, if your vehicle is not getting proper frictional force in the opposite direction when you are applying the brake, what may happen? You will not be able to stop your vehicle within some minimum distance. You will keep on going and hit on some other vehicles. That's it. It can be an obstruction. It can be a moving vehicle, it can be a stopped something, obstruction, anything. Okay, so friction is very important. That's why on wet surfaces, after rain and all, what happens? This may be your, let me see, okay, this may be your tire, this is your road surface. Whenever you are applying the brakes, if it is after rain, what may happen? There may be a slight layer of water between this tire and the road surface. So you may not be getting proper friction. The coefficient of friction will be very less, so that your frictional force will be very less. You are going in this side, you may not be getting proper friction opposite. Very important. Okay. So friction you might have studied already in engineering mechanics. Na? If any object is there, I am applying, it is moving in that side, a frictional force will be developed in this opposite direction at the interface of the object and the surface. Correct now? What will be that frictional force? Do you remember? In engineering mechanics, frictional force equal to, remembering, coefficient of friction into the normal reaction. Correct now? Remembering, I am simply writing N there. Coefficient of friction into normal reaction. What do you mean by normal reaction? Something here. It will be equal to the weight. Correct now? So can you write frictional force equal to coefficient of friction into weight? Correct now? Coefficient of friction into weight you might have already studied. In transportation, instead of taking this, do you remember what is this mu? Just tell me. Let me see whether you remember or not. What is that mu? That mu is called as? What it is called? Before I am writing, please tell me. This mu is called as coefficient of friction. Very good. Not simply coefficient of friction, coefficient of longitudinal friction. This is also important. Coefficient of longitudinal friction. We are having coefficient of lateral friction also. Mainly in transportation we use both. Whenever you are turning your vehicle may be having a tendency to skid. Correct na? Whenever you are turning your vehicle towards outside, so who is resisting that skidding? The frictional force that you are getting from side. So there also it is mu into W. But what is that mu? Coefficient of lateral friction or side friction. Okay. So this is called as coefficient of longitudinal friction. But this symbol mu in transportation we are using for Poisson's ratio also. Mu also we are using for Poisson ratio also. Na? Poisson's ratio. So since we are using this mu for Poisson ratio, in all the equations we are using F value, coefficient of longitudinal or whatever it is, lateral friction. So F value we are using for coefficient of friction in all our cases. Okay, so instead of mu, if you are using mu, we are using it for Poisson's ratio. Okay, so frictional force, what I can write? Frictional force equal to frictional force, I am writing small f into W. What we require for our gate exam is what is the value of that coefficient of friction. I told you it can be two types coefficient of friction. It can be coefficient of longitudinal friction, as we told, longitudinal. It is also called as rolling. You can also note it down. So F can be of two types, coefficient of longitudinal friction and coefficient of lateral, from the side you are getting. So coefficient of lateral, or I can also call it as coefficient of side friction. Two things. So note on those two. It can be coefficient of longitudinal and coefficient of lateral. If it is in the longitudinal direction, I call it as coefficient of longitudinal friction. For design purpose, there is a value. It is equal to 0.35 to 0.4. We hope it is visible. 0.35 to 0.4 for design purpose. Doesn't mean that in all the questions the given values will be in this range. Sometimes it can be less, sometimes it can be more. But for design purposes, we are taking in this range. And also, if it is coefficient of lateral friction, the value is 0.15 for design purposes. Okay, in some questions you can see other values also. For design purpose, we are taking 0.35 to 0.4, and the lateral friction we are taking 0.15. Here we are having a range, where there we are having only one value. This range actually depends on the speed and all. Depends on the speed, this value also will take the range, like that. Okay, so remember the range and remember the value of 0.15. This is a previous gate question, so that value already asked for gate exam. So we cannot expect from where they are going to ask. So many years, if you are checking the previous gate questions, you can understand that many years they asked 1 mark question, sometimes 2 marks also. Very silly questions also they have asked. As I told you, one question may be very tough question in each year, but majority of the questions out of the remaining questions, majority questions will be simple questions only, and the remaining will be some moderate level. So to solve that moderate level questions, you need such information also. Correct? Na? They will not be giving the values sometimes. If they are not giving, we have to substitute that 0.15. So it's an important concept. That's why they already asked for 1 mark in gate exam. 2 times they asked, I guess. 2 times gate question this is for 1 mark. Okay, important. That is the first concept for us, friction. While doing the so much numerical questions, we'll take these values again and just giving you some basics regarding the cross-section elements. Okay, everyone will use later again. Okay, the second one is unevenness. 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 So what do you mean by unevenness? It's nothing but simply the undulations on the road. For a better riding comfort, or if you want to take your vehicle at a good speed, what we require? We require a smooth road, right? Smooth road in the sense level road, right? Suppose on the road, if you are having some pavement surface like this, some undulated area, happens, no? After rain and all, generally it happens. So many gutters may be there. Not only gutters, if no gutter is there, no pothole is there, still you can see the surface is something like this. It can be because of improper compaction. It can be because of excessive binder or bitumen we are using. It means improper mix ratio if you are using, or improper compaction. What may happen? Sometimes your pavement may be having some slight undulations like this. Correct, na? It should be level. Correct, no? It should be level actually. I don't know whether I have drawn an inclined thing. Okay, so it should be something level, but some place it may be having some small undulations. Such undulations are called as unevenness. Okay, so you can also mark parallelly. So for a better riding comfort, we need an even road. See, even. Even means what? Almost constant. Unevenness means it is not an even road, it's not level. Some undulations are there. Okay. So as per IRC, for a better road, for a good road condition, it shouldn't be too much. If it is too much, if the unevenness, sometimes we call it as roughness. ROUGH, roughness. Okay. ROUGHNESS, roughness. So if this unevenness is more, very high, what happens? The driver has to reduce the speed like anything, because constantly it is coming. Na? If it is only a few places, then it's okay. You can little bit, you can decrease, then again you can accelerate. But constantly it is undulated. So you have to reduce your speed like anything. You have to go at very slow speed. So your travel time is going to increase like anything. Also, the passengers will not get more comfort. No? You will be going something like this. You will not be feeling that smoothness. Comfort will be less. Okay. So IRC says that you measure that value in 1 kilometer stretch of the road. Okay. 1 kilometer stretch. We are going to measure. What we are going to measure? The cumulative undulations. Means we are having an instrument called as bump indicator. So I am writing here. The instrument name is bump integrator or bump indicator, sometimes called it as. So bump integrator is the instrument name, or bump indicator sometimes called as. So using this instrument, what we are going to do? We are going to start measuring this unevenness. And we are going to measure like this. For 1 kilometer, the cumulative undulation value, the total undulation, how much is depressed? Cumulative undulation or cumulative depressions should be less than 1500 mm per kilometer. Per kilometer, it should be less than 1500 mm. If it is not, which means if your undulation value is more than 1500 mm in 1 kilometer, which means we have to repair the road. Otherwise, it is going to affect your riding comfort like anything. Your travel speed you have to reduce so that the time of travel will be increased like anything. See, it's not only affecting you. If you are reducing your speed, definitely the vehicles which are coming behind you, they also have to reduce the speed. They also have to use this road. Their travel time also will increase. So chain by chain, it will be total congestion may be there. Smoothly we cannot able to go. That's it. Okay. And this area you cannot even overtake the slow moving vehicles. Some trucks and all they may be coming. The traffic condition will be worst. So IRC says that. So who is given this value? As per IRC. As per IRC, for a good pavement, this value should be less than 1500 mm per kilometer. Okay. So note down those values and you write unevenness or roughness is measured using the instrument bump indicator. Unevenness is measured using bump indicator as per IRC. For a good road, the cumulative undulations should be less than 1500 mm per kilometer. Okay. So after friction and unevenness, just write the width of pavement, or technically we call it as carriageway. Width of carriageway. Carriageway means your road only, simply where the vehicles are moving. We call it as carriageway. Okay. Width of carriageway. IRC says some minimum width should be there for roads. If it is a single lane road, which means in one direction, so it can be two direction also. So single lane road means you are having only this much space. There will not be two vehicles adjacent. At a time, only one vehicle at a position, it will be moving like this. So whenever we are moving, definitely there should be some clearance on the right and left side. Correct, na? Some spacing should be there on both sides. You cannot go exactly straight, na? So some spacing should be there. And the maximum width of vehicle as per IRC is something like 2.44 meter. I will give you later. Okay. So considering all those features, IRC has given. IRC is only giving you the specifications and all the standards regarding all the dimensions, all the designs, parameters of highways. Correct, na? So according to IRC, there should be some minimum width for the carriageway. What do you mean by carriageway? Where the vehicles are going. That's it. Nothing but our road only. Okay. More technically speaking, it is called as carriageway. So for a single lane road, so IRC has given the minimum width for each type of roads. For a single lane, it will be 3.75 meter. For multi-lanes, which means it is a 2-lane, 3-lane, 4-lane like that. For multi-lanes, W is equal to 3.5 into number of lanes. For single lane, it is not 3.5 into 1, it is 3.75. By considering a lot of parameters, IRC has given that value. But for multi-lanes, if it is 2, 3, 4 like that, you have to multiply whatever be the number of lanes, multiply with 3.5. Which one I have to explain? Width of the carriageway. If it is a single lane road, minimum width should be 3.75 meter. And for multi-lanes, it should be 3.5 into number of lanes. If I am writing some examples. Example. For a 2-lane road, how much? For a 2-lane road, what do you mean by 2-lane road? There will be a road. Suppose this is your road. There will be 2 lanes. So some vehicles may be moving in this direction and other vehicles may be moving in this direction. It's called as 2-lane. So one lane should be 3.5 meter. Other lane should be 3.5. So 3.5 into 2, it will be 7 meter. Then what will be for a 4-lane road? 3.5 into 4, then it will be 14 meter, like that. Understood? But if it is a single lane, it is not simply 3.5 into 1, it is 3.75. IRC is telling that if it is a single lane road, single lane sometimes, most probably it may be a one-way road, but if it is a village road and all, sometimes you can see single lane can be 2-way also. Correct, na? If you are from a village or if you have gone to village roads, very narrow road it may be, both direction vehicles may be coming. So whenever we are about to cross each other, what you have to do? You may have to go to the side, maybe your left tire will be on the soil or in the median. Other vehicle also will be going into their side. So you may be coming exactly opposite, but like this you have to go. But in village roads you may have to adjust like that. It can be one way or it can be 2-way also. Then it should be minimum 3.75. Otherwise it is okay 3.5, 3.5 and all. Considering a lot of parameters, IRC has given that suggestion. Okay, in detail we don't require. Fine. So this is a previous gate question. What is the minimum width of a single lane road? Okay, so remember that 3.75 meter. And there are some special cases. As of now, they have not asked, but I am giving you some extra points here. You can note it down. I am just rubbing this portion. So, in case in some questions, we require the width of the pavement. So, sometimes they will not give you the width of pavement. Whenever the width of pavement or width of carriageway is not available in the question, we have to take from this concept. Okay, it can be a 1-mark question. This data we may require in some 2-mark question also. That's why I told this width is important. Okay, so I told you for a 2-lane road it is 7 meter in general. There is a special case. Okay, the special case is, you can write that special cases or something. Special cases. For a 2-lane road, for a 2-lane road with raised curb. 2-lane road with raised curb. What do you mean by actually curb? Curb is nothing but KERB. It is a structural portion which we are going to differentiate between the road and the footpath. You might have seen, if your road is something like this, your footpath will be here. So just to differentiate between road and footpath, we are going to put something here. That is called as curb. Okay, you can note it down somewhere. KERB. It is a structural component used to differentiate or separate road surface or road and footpath. Okay, so in case if it is having some raised curb, in detail we don't require. Actually speaking, there are a lot of types of curb. Okay, lots of types of curb is there. If you want to know in detail, it's not recommended for GATE exam preparation. But if you feel you want to know more, you can refer that Kannan textbook. In detail they have written there. Okay, but for GATE exam we don't require such in detail theory portions. We don't require. Whatever is required for GATE examination, we will concentrate on that. We will score more marks. Okay. In case if it is having a raised curb. Okay, as of now they have not asked this concept, but remember this 7 meter we are going to increase by 0.5 meter. Then the minimum width should be 7.5 meter. If you want to know what is this raised curb, what are the other types of curb, then you can refer the textbook. That's it. Okay. So if it is having a raised curb, we are going to increase. 7 meter is going to be increased by 5 meter. Sorry, 0.5 meter, 7.5. That is a special case. One more special case is there for intermediate lanes. This also they have not asked, but any time they can ask you. For intermediate lanes, it should be 5.5 meter. Intermediate lanes. Intermediate lane means it's something in between single lane and 2-lane. How much is single lane width? 3.75. How much is 2-lane width? In general sense, if this is not given, 2-lane means in our general case 7 meter. Some areas, because of the topographical problem, you may not be able to provide a 7 meter width for the 2-lane road. In such cases, what we may do? Because of topography problem, we may not be having that much space to give 7 meter 2-lane. Okay? So in case if you are not having 7 meter width, what you are going to do? At least you have to give some 5.5. IRC tells you to give some 7 meter width for your carriageway or your payment. Carriageway means our payment. Okay? Where the vehicles are going. That's it. Okay? Some more technical word. Okay? So IRC is telling you to give 7 meter, but IRC also tells that in case that 7 meter is not possible, at least you give 5.5. Then such road we call it as intermediate. It is intermediate, no? It is in between single and 2, 3.75 and 7 meter. So we call it as intermediate lane. So that width should be 5.5 meter. Okay? So remember those two special cases. In case if they want to ask you a tough question for 1 mark from this portion, they may ask you from this. Okay? The 3.75 is already asked. Lane means, what do you mean by lane? See like this. Some areas you may be having only one carriageway to go or one lane to go. Lane means what? 1 lane, 2 lane, 3 lane. Road, 1 lane road. See, one vehicle is there, another vehicle may be here, another vehicle may be here, like that. 2 lane means in 1 lane vehicle may be going in this direction, in the other lane vehicle may be coming in this direction, like that. What do you mean by a 4 lane road? Means 4 lanes are there. In important national highways and all, you can see 4 lanes. Correct? Vehicles will be going in this direction parallelly. In these roads they may be coming in this direction parallelly. Then 4 lanes. Okay? Is it noble means? which means lanes. Lanes means this only single lane, 2 lane, that is 4 lane. If 3 lanes are there, it is called as 3 lane road. Then 3.5 into 3. That much will be the width of the road. Okay? Yeah, fine. Okay. So that is the third one, width of the carriageway. Remember the values. In case if they are not giving the values in some questions, we will take 3.5 into number of lanes. Okay. These are special cases. Now, in case if they are not mentioning anything, 3.5 into number of lanes. But for single lane, it is not 3.5 into 1. It will be 3.75. Remember. Okay. Now, if it is a 4-lane road, I told you, one direction may be like this, another direction. Vehicle may be coming from opposite direction also. So just to differentiate between those two directions, what we will do? We are going to divide the road. We will put some divider at the middle of this road. Just to differentiate the movement in that direction and the movement in this direction. You might have already experienced that portion, we call it as median. Okay, so that will be the next that you can write as the fourth one. What it is called as median. So the fourth cross-section element is median. So what is median? You just write the sentence for median. It is a divider portion which is used to differentiate or separate traffic directions. It is a divider portion used to separate the traffic directions. Is there any problem for the screen? Okay. You might have experienced that in main roads and all. 4 lanes you will not be seeing in all the places. In main important cities, the roads from important cities and all you can see, which connects important cities where traffic is very high. If more number of vehicles are using a particular portion, or from one place to another portion, lots of vehicles are moving, then we are going to give a 4-lane road. Okay, mainly national highway. In district road and all you will not see 4-lane. National highways only you will see. If it is a 2-lane also, we may give the median sometimes. Depends on the importance of the road and all. If it is a very high speed road, then just to avoid the accidents, we may give median. Okay.